Oh.
Okay, great. This is International Segway Polo Association Board of Directors meeting Sunday, the 1st March 2015. And I'm going to do the first call to order, or roll call. So I'll start with myself, Alexander Verriesen, present, here. Ralph Luther.
Here.
Sherry Ozdemir.
Here.
Jens Krafhorst.
Here.
And Olaf Funke is absent. So then we go on to the next one, approval of the minutes from February the 8th. And I can approve those minutes. Do I have anyone who seconds it?
Yeah, I'm fine with me with the changes that were made. I think just to clarify, I think it did make a difference. I don't know, Sherry, if you saw that afterwards.
Yeah, I didn't have any problem with it. Anything that needs to be, people have the ability to access the original recording and, decipher what they will from there. So that's always still preserved. So the changes that were made seem reasonable to me.
Okay, good.
Yeah, fine with me as well.
So, approved.
Okay.
And scheduled presentation, we have none for this meeting. And then we have action items is also none for this meeting at the moment. And then we have informal items. And Funke is not present at the moment. Discuss possible addition of the CTO position.
Yeah, so I guess we will have to wait until our next meeting or some other information from Olaf to address what ideas he came up with or how he wants to proceed with that.
Yeah.
Unless somebody else has some.
I would suggest we just start an email chain and prompt him so when he does have a minute, he can share his comments and then we know what he wants us to do on it.
Sounds like a good idea.
Alexander and I have to work on part of that has to be done. I started today on some of the IT related things that we really need to get sorted out, which is the email. So I will mostly be working with Alexander, and then I guess he can give us an update on the. I guess we want to transition the emails to Google Apps now that we have the 501 status. So we can discuss that later on.
Yeah, we can do that separately, Rob. That'd be good.
Yeah, but I think those were the priorities right now on the computing side. Obviously it does tie in, but I think the Teamer side of things, my understanding is that Sherry has that covered for now. So we'll just leave everything as it is for the moment. So we're not expecting any major changes. So we don't need the chairman's input or direction on anything there at this moment.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. But we do have orders to sort out the email issue. So Alexander and I have to work on that.
Brilliant. Okay, then we close that information item 6A and move on to 6B. Sherry, website updates.
Yeah, I addressed some of the concerns from our last meeting where there was outdated information. I removed the telephone number as discussed. So we can always change or add something back in later, but it's not there now so that people won't just get directed right back to the website, which didn't make a lot of sense. And in addition to that, I worked with the events page. I'm not sure I cleared out all the old events yet because it probably still goes back to 2013, and that addresses changing the calendar within Teamer, which I'm not quite comfortable with yet. But I do have the updated calendar so that people will see that we are having these meetings. They will see those in the event page. So we will have some, relevant current information in there. As And I think the only thing other thing I did in there was working on updating roles. I removed Rob as the chairman in the ISPA board so that he won't get the emails anymore. I hope it worked. I apparently got one yesterday or this morning. And I also removed Steve Ostermeyer as the treasurer so that he won't get them either. But and I think that's all we did on that. I know there was some issue with the store. Something came through on there, but I have not addressed the automated message that goes out. But I'll be looking into that here in the next couple of days to see if I can figure out how to update it, I should say.
Yeah.
Because it's still showing. It's still showing if you add a membership that you'll get the next year for free, so to speak. But that doesn't apply anymore since we are now in 2015, so it needs to be taken out. But I don't think many people are going to run into that in the next week or two. So that's about all I had for the update side.
Okay, let me just clarify. We're talking about two different things here. We're talking about updating the front end of the actual website, which you do through Teamer, correct? And that you depend on us and the Segway Polo community in general to provide you with information. So if there are any tournaments, if there are any updates, if there are any interesting stories, then we as board members need to go back to our clubs and ask them to send us information or send it directly to Sherry so that the landing page of the website can be updated. I think that's very important. The second, just as important thing, but I'm not sure it became very clear right now, is the other work that Sherry is doing and what she was referring to with not being 100% familiar yet and therefore not working on it. This is the background, everything that sits behind what is visible to outsiders, which is within Teamer, and that's, I think, where she's referring to the roles and the payment issue and all those sort of things. So we have one issue where we're addressing the front, how ISPA is representing itself to the outside world, where we all need to work on getting some additional information and up-to-date information, and that's, we all need to go out to our club members and friends and provide Sherry with some information. And then on the background side of Teamer, I think for now, it's still an ongoing process of dealing with the transition and getting into a routine of, so the transition of the new board and the board members and the roles, and then the transition from one season or 1 year into another. And then gradually expanding or making use of the capabilities that Teamer has in terms of administering membership. And that would include the template email, for example, that if somebody does go on the website, pays the $35, registers, the type of email they receive, and any other follow-up and notifications, who's actually getting a notice, and all those sort of things. So, Sherry, is that about a correct summary of what the process and the issues are here on this issue?
Yeah, I would say pretty much. And they're all basically within Teamer, but there is definitely what you call the landing page. I assume you mean the home page, and what people see when they go to segwaypolo.org. What public sees and what members see, as opposed to what's happening, like I said, behind the scenes, like the automated responses, what generates the events pages and stuff like that. So definitely, yeah.
What I'd like to make clear, and so that anybody listening in this, and I would like to go this on the record, it is a responsibility of the entire community, of all players, to provide information for segpolo.org, both the public area and the membership area, to be up to date or to carry information that they would like to see on there. That is not while Sherry or somebody on the board can make those changes or authorize them. The primary responsibility, I think, should lie with the whole Segway Polo community. So the focus that, to me, with the limited time that Sherry has, should be on figuring out the background, i.e. in Teamer, dealing with how we administer membership and the roles, so that we can improve the communication with all of the members, that we have a better feel for who's registered and who isn't, because we're going to have tournaments coming up and we want everyone to be who's playing in these tournaments to be registered. So we need to focus on understanding that completely and making use of as many of the capabilities as possible. I think in the past there was a misunderstanding that people thought it's all the website, it's all the board's responsibility. The website doesn't look great. Why are they not doing anything about it? Yeah.
Right.
So
that's definitely what the community and the public sees. I mean, they're going to go there and look at it and make a judgment call at that point.
Yeah. So
along those lines,
to focus on the TEMA aspect. And I mean, it's obviously if there's information that is completely wrong or out of date, then if to the extent that you have time, it can be removed. But I think we all need to go out and ask everyone to look at the public face of it and tell us what they would like to have changed, what they would like to see in terms of changes, if they want additional information, and so on.
But I don't really understand who will change it. Are we going to change it when we get the information from the teams, or does everybody do it by himself?
No, Sherry will do that for now.
Okay.
TEMA would, in theory, allow individual members to do that, but obviously as the board, we have the responsibility to vet and check that information. And I doubt that anybody is necessarily going to be so familiar with TEMA that they can do it very quickly. I mean, I have tried, and it is possible. It's not super hard, but unless you do it on a regular basis, it's easy to make mistakes or get confused. And it's usually better for a single person to be in charge of that, so you have some uniformity. But what I'm saying, the content, I don't expect Sherry to actually come up and write little articles or write things about Segway Polo or update sections about the history of Segway Polo or, provide tournament information. I just expect her, when she's given that within a reasonable time frame, she'll put it up there.
Oh, okay.
Or she'll ask one of us.
Okay, now it's clear.
You follow?
Yeah, so we're looking for content from the community, basically.
You want content from the community, correct? And I don't expect Sherry to create that. So when we have an item that says website update and is Sherry's responsibility, I don't want anybody to think that Sherry isn't doing her job because the front end, the segpolo.org website, is out of date. Her priority should be working on the TEMA side of things, and then if somebody has content for the front end, then of course she can put it on there, but that takes, a few minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, okay, understood. Yeah. Thanks.
Right, and before we move to the next subject there, I think last meeting we discussed the possibility of putting information in regard to the UK event. And because it's not sanctioned at ISPA, there was a kind of a debate of if we were going to do that or not. And I'm not sure if we really addressed it, but obviously it's not on there. It's not on the events page, which it's easy enough to add. And it's also not in the news page, which we can put anything in the news page. It doesn't need to be ISPA related. So that's something we might want to either discuss this meeting or the next meeting. But it's coming up real fast, so I don't know. We could throw it up on the events page or something.
Perfect. You've perfectly led us into item C.
Excellent.
So that's exactly what we're hoping to get from Olaf tonight. I worked I had a long flight coming back from Seoul. I had a 14-hour flight, so I finally managed to work on on rewriting the sanctioning document, not necessarily with a view to replacing the original one, but just to tweaking it a little bit. So I don't know if anybody's had a chance to look at that yet on Trello. But what I'll do is I'll follow that with an email to Olaf, and I think then we need to, I can do that. I can contact Mark Weller and ask him to confirm, and we can use him as a guinea pig to see if the process of getting the sanctioning makes sense, and he can then, as a organizer, see if that is a practical approach to all of this, and then hopefully we can get that sorted in a week or two.
Yeah, I think it sounds good, and I think Mark will also. I hope at least, but I think he will be okay with having him running as a guinea pig.
I don't know if you all had a chance to look at what I posted.
Just briefly, I basically took it up right now again.
Okay. Maybe we can deal with that in a few days' time, but I'd like to get some feedback, obviously. I don't want it to be looking just coming from me, but I took most of the stuff that was in the original document that Rob had prepared for the previous board. And I did introduce something new, which was different types of tournaments, because I think that's really what we're looking at. So we have a World Cup, we have regional tournaments such as the European Championships, and then we have local tournaments or fun tournaments. And I think we have different standards. We require different things from each type of tournament.
I think that's good.
So, but if anybody has any thoughts or suggestions, I wanted to make sure that we can include really every existing form of tournament, including the St. Nicholas in Germany, which is really a 3-on-3, but players are drawn in, and I would like to see as many tournaments included as possible, but for organizers to fully understand what category they fall into. So if somebody wants to have a North American or North and South American championship, then, that should be at a higher level than a fun tournament like we had the one here in May. And if somebody wants to have a World Cup, then obviously that you can't just go and organize a World Cup. You wait for ISPA to announce what ISPA would like to do, and then you can apply for it. Yeah. Whereas the other tournaments, you can put your hand up and say, I'd like to organize something. What do I need to do? And then, we need to be able to tell people, because not everybody necessarily wants to put something on that is equivalent to a World Cup. And I don't think all the tournaments have to be at that level. I think we can maintain a good standard and take the sport forward and have uniform rules with different types of tournaments. But we need Olaf's input on that to some extent, so it's a shame that he's not there.
Yeah. No, but I'll fully support it. Again, I think it's a good structure and understanding also, because in the next stage we will have a situation where you probably, due to the number of teams that possibly could play the World Championship at any stage in time, after, I don't know what roof there will be, if there's, it says World Championships is minimum 16 teams or more, but what is the maximum team? And how many teams, we have not set there yet, for instance, it's national teams and club teams. We don't have, we have national teams in the form of that if you don't have any more teams in your country, then it becomes the national team, or the club team becomes that national team. But sooner or later we're going to come into a structure where I think the national championships of Sweden is going to determine which teams we are able to send to, for instance, a World Cup in the future.
I try to address that by let me see how I've worded that. I've put something in there. Depending on the number of entries, the number of club teams from an individual country may be limited.
Yeah, there, yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Age. Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
So, anyway, if you could all have a look at that maybe at some point and give me your thoughts. Sherry, also in particular, if you want to share that with some of the US players. Obviously, I have Barbados and somewhat European perspective, because that's where most of the action has been of recent. But we don't want to not be sensitive to the history and also the preferences of California in particular.
Sure. That's is that in Trello? Is that where that document is?
Yes, it's in Trello, and it's a link to a Google document that you should not need to log in.
Okay.
You may have to in order to comment, but you should be able to read it.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I did see it, but I did not go into it, and so I'll put that on my to-do list.
So okay, well those were my comments, I think, on the sanctioning of smaller tournaments. So hopefully we'll see California host some form of tournament, and if that can fall into one of those categories, then obviously the ISPA. I mean, I don't know, the original document from Rob referred to some kind of logo, an official logo and some things, but I don't know, Sherry, was anything developed along those lines, or was that just a plan that didn't materialize?
Yeah, I don't recall that at all going forward.
And also, talking about that, I know there's been a discussion before regarding the logo that we were too similar to, can't remember if it was a baseball league in the United States or similar.
I don't think it's an issue for now. I think it went quiet. The last thing I heard on it wasn't a top priority, and until we get some sort of notice, we don't have to worry about it.
Right, cool.
Yeah, I agree. There was some sort of concern, but there's the baseball, there's also a basketball association, the major basketball in the U.S. are all very similar, but other groups use very similar, the blue, the white with some sort of, image in the middle. I don't think it's an issue, and I don't think it'll become an issue. If we feel like we need to distinguish ourselves, I think we had a logo contest, so to speak, and we got some feedback, but not much from the community, which has been the trouble with other issues as far as getting community involvement. But I don't think we came up with anything. It just kind of didn't really lead to a new logo that was acceptable, and we just stuck with what we have for now.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments on the sanctioning?
No, not at the moment. I think it's good effort, and I'm going to make sure that I comment on it during the coming week.
Thanks. Okay. Alex?
Yeah, moving forward. So we have, I'm just going to go to that. Update on findings related to Skype in options, 6D. Unfortunately, I've had a family situation which have taken a lot of my time the last couple of weeks. So I haven't been able to do this meeting, so I'll make that sure that happens to the next meeting. So that's 6D for us. 6E, formal agreement with Inc. and how ISPA Inc. are connected. I put up a Trello. I've just added a couple of things to it, but it hasn't been too much. I know Jens, you put in some things. Yeah, Sherry, you did it also great right now. So,
right.
Cool. Rolf, what I can do right now is we can just go through what Jens has come up with, all of us. How would Segway Inc. sponsor our sport is an open question. Are they giving batteries to the ISPA for a tournament? Will they help to protect the name Segway Polo? Will they help us by installing national leagues or tournaments? I added, will Segway Inc. sponsor ISPA with cash funds to drive and develop the sport? Will Segway Inc. nominate ISPA to drive the development of the Segway Polo sport? And that's connected to, of course, protect the name. Will Segway Inc. provide us with contacts and relation with their key distributors globally to start a relationship between them and ISPA to develop the sport and sales, of course, in the in the long term or in the short term as well of segways in local regions. And Sherry added direct line of communication to registered owners. Batteries for tournaments was possible lead into selling some loaner batteries as well. Flyers included in new sales and return service machine. I think that's great as well.
Yeah, I think one of the keys to getting information to the direct line of communication to the registered owners, I think a really key time frame for something like that is, say 3 to 6 months after a new purchase, when people are starting to think, what more can I do when they get in that mode. I think that would going out initially with the new sales is great, but I think if we could have something that's more of a direct line, maybe email based, that goes out to the owner, a little while after they've had it, and give them something to think about and a direction to go in, hopefully towards us.
And go ahead.
But I mean, if you buy a Segway Inc. doesn't necessarily have your email address, or are they changing that?
They might not. I would think that that you would have the Segway registered to you, if not an email, then a postal address. But I'd say most people would have an email at this point, because I mean, if you don't have it registered to you, and I don't know if everyone in the community realizes about registering a Segway to yourself, that you are the registered owner with Inc. So if you need a key or you need to have it serviced or it's stolen, you can actually communicate that information with them, and they will help basically look out for it being resold. Even when you buy a used Segway, I've always contacted Inc. via email, and you send them, here's who I bought it from, here's who I am, my information, here's the serial number to the machine. I now want to be listed as a registered owner. And because that's usually done through email, that's one way that they would have your email address.
Yeah.
But, I'm not sure if the community in general is aware of that, and that's probably something we would like to communicate to them in some fashion. The whole registration thing. But that's kind of off topic, but just thought of it.
Okay, so, no, that sounds great. I mean, Alex, you taking the lead. You're going to draft something with what you have now, or do you want some more? I guess we need to ask Olaf, but why don't you, what I would suggest, because I haven't seen Olaf too active on Trello either, maybe you could just put all of this now, the comments from Bo and Sherry and myself into an email. Send it to Olaf and see what he wants to add and thinks about it. Then send it to us for review. Again, in case somebody has thought of something else, or maybe it's not quite clear what is meant by what somebody else suggested, and then see if we can get that out.
I'll do that. Good idea.
Okay. So that's now, Sherry, remind me again, what do we call that? A to-do item for someone?
Yeah, I just added it to myself in the marketing to-dos for Trello.
Now, remember, I used to call those action items, but it's not something we're voting on. But I always like to see in the minutes if we've assigned tasks to certain people. I know
it'll be more or less in the body of that particular. So I think this was, what were we on? Are we going to put this under? I guess that.
Yeah, 6.
Are we putting that under E or F? E.
That's E. Oh yeah, I guess
we kind of ran into each other a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one was supposed to be more of the formal agreement. I think we went off to the wish list.
Yeah.
So I don't know if need to go back to the formal agreement separately, or.
No, I don't think so. I mean, the way forward would be basically that we make this wish list into a letter that Ralph suggested, or a proposal, or a letter, I would say, to say.
Well, there was the element of protection, so that nobody else can. So the one thing I think we wanted from them, which isn't so much a wish list, but almost a demand or clarification, because if they don't agree to it, then a lot of what we're doing now, we'd have to look at it from a different angle, was to protect Segway Polo and for Segway Inc. to agree that ISPA is the only authority worldwide that can essentially organize anything that is called Segway Polo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, in return, we will make safety a priority and not disparage Segway Inc. and meet any other demands they may have. But for us, I think the primary thing is that there's not going to be another. We're not going to end up with the fragmentation of the sport because there's no single authority and there's no way of enforcing the exclusivity essentially that ISPA should have over Segway Polo.
No, I think it's very vital because, again, I out of just chance, I met last week with a person through the business community here in Sweden, and they went, "Oh, you're doing Segway Polo?" Yeah, I had this event about a year and a half ago on the Segway, and we did Segway Polo. I said, "Oh, happy," and I crashed, and unfortunately, I broke. She injured her hand really, really badly. And it was again an event by a corporate event maker who doesn't have the right education or I would say method of running a Segway Polo event in that sense, unfortunately. And because she didn't go to the doctors straight away and took care of it, it might be her fault as well. But I think it's all those things that will affect how people see on the sport. It's
one thing would be that I think that Segway Inc. would have agreements with their tour operators in order for them to use the Segway name and the logo on their website and all of that. I'm sure they have to sign all sorts of fancy contracts and clauses what they can and can't do. And obviously, if that precludes them from doing Segway Polo without meeting, at least if they're going to do a public event, running it by ISPA.
Yeah.
That would be a first step, definitely. Yeah, I think that's definitely a top priority there.
Yeah, I agree with you, Lars.
Are we giving us a timeline to speak to the ISPA to Segway Inc.?
Would be good that we do that, I think.
I should, yeah. And who is talking to them? I think Alexander is the best person because you are in contact with Rom.
Yeah, I've been in contact with Rod before. I think I could take a lead on that. I would very much also, when we come to that point, I would have a second person with me in the meetings. I think that's good, but I can take a lead on it for sure.
Are you coming over to the US this year at some point, Alexander?
Yeah, I think to drive this discussion forward, I think either we need to meet. I would prefer meeting with Segway in person and coming over to US. I'm planning a trip anyhow to New York in the beginning or the middle of May. So at the latest that point, but I think it would be valid if I just on the top of my head right now think about a timeline, if we could have a suggestion out to Segway, let's say at the latest end of March, that we can all agree upon and send that out. I know, Sherry, you suggested a meeting again in 3 weeks' time.
Right.
So if we could have a draft finished to that meeting, where when we make that as a formal agreement that we can send that note away or that email, and I'll post it away, and then we can have a follow-up discussion. Because I'm thinking also it's very good to have when Segway receives it, that we say after that we want to initiate a call with them, a conference call. We can discuss the items that we sent over. It's always good to hear the other person's view on it, in verbal, not in written. And if we then can, if there's a need to, which I think maybe it is, move forward and have a meeting with them, let's say in May, that would be a very, maybe not aggressive, but very, very driven timeline.
Okay, good.
I think the end of May it's okay, but we should talk to them a few weeks before the World Cup will start, because help from them to the World Cup is very necessary, I think.
Yeah.
I think we need to listen to what Olaf has to say and how he's making progress with the KSR, which is now probably the largest distributor in Europe. I mean, they have Germany and Austria, I think. So they are supporting the World Cup from what I know, but Olaf would have to give us more background on that. But let's run this by Olaf for now. But definitely May is we should probably approach them before.
Yeah.
But then let them decide who we're going to meet with, or whether this can be done by email, or to what extent their marketing people are traveling the world, and if they're over in Europe, some of you can meet with them, or if they're in in the Americas somewhere, somebody else can meet with them.
Yeah, I know they have a person in London that is head of, I think, EMEA or something, that they usually refer to. Can't think of his name.
Okay, well, find out, because that would be good if that person could come to rugby in April for the UK tournament.
Yeah, good one.
Then what I would suggest at this point is maybe for Alexander to start contacting Rob in a very careful manner by just saying, listen, we have a new board, and we want to, sport continues to grow, and you're getting a little concerned about there's tournaments popping up all over the place, and we don't want the sport and the segways in general to fall into disrepute by people poorly organized tournaments and people getting injured. And we want to discuss a little more how we can go forward, and who should we talk to. Is it you, Rod, or do you have a person? And we have a tournament. A couple of us are going to be in England on the 18th, 19th of April. And if possible, we'd like to do that before the World Cup in July, where we certainly hope somebody from Segway Inc. will be there.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah?
Yeah, like that, Rob.
Any other thoughts, Sherry, on your side? Because you've been listening in more to the earlier discussions on that topic. I guess, Bo, you too.
As far as addressing Inc., it was always Rob that would do that. And I don't think there was a lot of that during the prior year where I was secretary. There may have been previously, but not that I'm privy to.
Yeah. Okay.
Good one. Say again?
No, that's covered. I just wanted to make sure there's not something there that we should be aware of from the past.
Yeah, good. So E and F, I closed those ones on the informal items. Number 6G, Funke Luther advise if banking/PayPal informal PayPal information received.
I'm probably 70 or 80% through that. I got the stuff from Rob actually earlier today. He'd sent a lot of it to Olaf a long time ago, but combined with what he put into Box. So I have started essentially, just too quickly, if anybody wants the full details, I can do that, but I'm not 100% finished. But I have access to the bank account. There's about $5,500 in there. I will prepare some kind of statement and leave it either in Box, or if we go to Google Apps eventually, where we keep some sort of very basic accounting record of it. I haven't got information about because now that we have the 501c3 status, I think we do have to prepare annual accounts. So I'm not sure. I have to dig a little more on where that is. But from a management point of accounting view, so that we understand where the money's coming from and where it's going, that stuff I should be able to prepare now that I have access to both the bank account and also to PayPal. I've changed the PayPal email address. That was still going to Stuart. So that's not going to Treasurer. I have also gone, it's not quite on the accounting side, but I've gone into GoDaddy. So Alex, we need to talk about that. because I have access to it, and I just need to check with you which email address you want, and I will make you an additional account administrator on the GoDaddy account. Right. So that's where the domain name is hosted, and also I need access to that, obviously, to make sure we make the payments. I think it may still run on Rob's credit card, but I have details of the ISPA debit card that is attached to the account that I now have access to. But the GoDaddy is, it's hosting segpolo.org, so we want to make sure that renews, and there's a valid credit card always on file, so we don't lose that. Also, if there are any issues with it. And the email, right now, that package and GoDaddy email hosting, we decided we weren't going to go with that. And there's a free hosting for up to 100 email addresses, anything at segpolo.org. But all we can do with it is automatically forward them somewhere, which is what's happening now. So, Alex, if you tell me what email address to use, then I will set you up, and you can have a look at this and then start working on getting the Google App charity account, essentially.
Brilliant.
Do you want the Van Riesen or the Gmail?
Gmail, if preferable. Alexander.vanriesen@gmail.com.
Okay. All right. I was going to do it earlier, and then I realized you had two email addresses, so I will use it for that, because I'm assuming if we're using some of your Google App facilities, it may be better to use that than start with a vice president at segpolo.org address or something to set that up.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see, banking, PayPal information. Yeah, so I think that's, if anybody has any questions on the money side, otherwise, the Box and Teema, I haven't made any changes. I think, Sherry, you were working on the Teema side of things. We have to be careful, because some of this stuff I think Rob is still quite happy to be involved in. Certainly on the bank account, the physical address, and the physical contact person. I had to, in order to set up the online bank access on my computer, I had to be in contact with him, because for the first time I do it on any new computer, he gets a text message on his cell phone with a 6-digit code that I then have to enter. But once that's done, now I can access it without doing that again. So he will be involved in some of this stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So
I don't know if
check with him on everything, what part. And my understanding was with Teema, he didn't think it could be changed, but he made some comment there that we need to actually talk to the company that owns Teema to get him out of that. I think it's his last email. I'm not sure.
Exactly. I was just about to refer to that. He sent that out this morning, and I think part of what happened was when the reminder went out, it went out to him as well, and I think that has to do with the whole ISPA at ThinkSmart Inc. being associated with Teamer. And so I need to, I guess, call them and find out how we disassociate that particular email. But in addition, and more along the lines of the financial aspect we're talking about, Rob did make a note that he's still getting the monthly fee for Teamer.
Okay, so, well, I will try, now that I only just got the bank access today.
Yep.
So I don't know if we can pull that out of the PayPal account, or whether it goes against the bank account, or whether I just give them the debit card number and other details. Yeah, I will deal with that this week.
Okay, so because I'm not sure where in Teamer that the payment part is, but if you're going to follow up on that, that's great.
I have no idea, but I'm going to try and find out.
Yeah, let me know if I can help.
So, I will. Thanks. Excuse me. Box, I think with Box.com we're okay, because that's going to Chairman at Segpolo, so I don't think he's getting anything else on there. And the election buddy you already have, and I think that's it in terms of passwords and login IDs and stuff like that.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, I do still have the election buddy, and it's actually separate of the secretary duties. It's whoever's going to run that particular election, and it just happens to be me the last 3 elections, I believe. But if, when we come up to the next election at the end of the year, if we need to get somebody else involved, that's easy enough to do.
Okay.
Great. Sounds good. Any further things on 6G? If banking, PayPal, or are we closing that?
Yeah, as I said, if anybody has any questions about the accounts, I will try and summarize it and just show year by year what revenue there's been and what there were some bank charges by the looks of it at the beginning, but otherwise there's not been any expenditure. So Rob's really been absorbing quite a bit by the looks of it. So going forward, I'm going to try and get an estimate for trying to do a budget on what the annual fixed expenses are that we'll be having, that Rob's been covering in the past.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Sounds all good. 6H, Funke is not here. Discuss proposal of use or referee headphone. And I think we need to postpone that one to next meeting. So if we can put that to the next agenda for end of March.
Okay.
And new business, and by that, I think we've gone through all informal items. New business not on agenda, was not anything listed there. Does anyone have something?
I have one of the issues I put in Trello. I don't know if you've noticed, but the KSR group, so the distributors for Segways in Germany and Austria, they historically, they distribute motorbikes, mopeds and stuff like that. They have, unbeknownst to Olaf and Sonia, created an event page for the World Cup. And that could be a good thing or a bad thing, but it needs to be discussed. And I've asked Sonia to clarify, but I just want the board to be aware of that. My concern is that, obviously, if it's an ISPA event, but then there's a commercial venture associated with it, then I don't know whether that's going to impact the tax status and everything else. So it could also be a concern for Olaf and Sonia, because I'm not sure how they're running the money that flows through the World Cup. So okay. I would have much preferred for the event page to have been created by the Funky Move Turtles, which is a registered charity or a non-profit organization in Germany, or if an official ISPA Facebook page or account creates that event, then it's very clear. But right now, that event was created by the KSR group, and I was a bit reluctant to share it and invite people at first, because I wasn't really sure whether it had been done with the approval of Olaf and Sonia.
Right.
And so, the events page that you're referring to, where exactly is it? Is it on the KSR's website?
No. So they simply created an event in Facebook. Okay, so Olaf and Sonia had created a page called World Cup 2015, right?
Yeah.
Got it.
And that's where people are supposed to go and find the information. And that's how you would normally do this, I think, in terms of Facebook best practices.
And someone has... Yeah, I see that now.
Yeah, I see it as well. I found it.
Segway PT and e-bikes is the...
correct,
the host.
And that's the KSR group.
Yeah. Well, I think all I have to ask, check with that, but I think definitely it might be, as you said, it might be part of their support.
I mean, don't get me wrong, we don't want to we don't want to scare off any sponsors or anything. We're happy for anybody else to get any corporate support and getting the word out there, but also we have to just be careful not to be sending out the wrong message or diluting the message that we're sending out.
Definitely. I mean, as I said, it could be It could be basically ISPA through Olaf or the hosting organization that creates the page and also the event. So yeah, let's.
I mean, if the KSR group has a qualified social media person, and all that Sonja and Olaf need to do is send them updates, and they will then post this and spread out the word. And if they have a newsletter and, a Twitter account and all of that, then, this would potentially very much enhance the marketing of the event and be for everyone's benefit. But I think we just need to ask those questions.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the only other business, I think, that I wanted to bring up.
Jens, do you have anything?
No, nothing more.
Shelley?
No, I'm good.
Yeah. Just wanted to, I looked at the other notes we had from last meeting, and I introduced Trello for to-do list, and we agreed last meeting that we should test it out and discuss it at the next meeting, i.e. this meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So just wanted to basically get your initial feedback. Do you think it can work for us as a task tool, or?
Yeah, I like it. It's very easy, and you can find information very quick, so it's good. But it's not working on a BlackBerry, so I have to do it at home.
So who's running a BlackBerry?
I do. I got it from the bank, so now I have a BlackBerry. It's not so bad.
Oh, I know. They were hugely popular in the beginning of the, 90s or? Sorry. I know we're going to have a formal tone here, but, okay. So if you're all fine with the Trello, I suggest we just continue with that until we find another tool, if we need another tool or not.
I like it a lot, so I would like to continue using it.
Yeah, I think the only issue I have is just to remind myself to look at it maybe once a week at least, instead of what I did this week, which was kind of wait till right before the meeting and jump in there. So that's just something I need to do for myself, is remind myself, I don't know, once a week or whatever, to go in there and see what other people have put, feedback, and add in that type of stuff.
Yeah. It's a big tip is to create a personal Trello list, something that you regularly follow up or do. I'm running, I think, at the moment, 20 Trello lists. Good.
Sounds like a good idea, yeah.
And it's super easy to switch between the two of them as well. And also, if you want to make
see your shopping list,
Say again, Rolf?
We don't want to see Sherry's shopping list, do we?
No?
Or maybe.
Or maybe we do. New Ferrari.
No, I could not fit a Segway in a Ferrari, so that won't work.
Probably, I mean, you can ask them for a special version with, maybe have a special luggage room for a Segway somewhere.
Right.
Cool. Okay, then I close new business not on agenda. Do we have any BOD member comments?
I'd just like to say I'm glad we went ahead and went forward with the meeting. It's too bad that Olaf could not be with us this meeting, but I think it's good to keep things moving along. If someone can't be there, then they can follow up with the recording or the notes or Trello or email between meetings, but it's important to keep having them moving forward.
I agree totally on that one.
I agree.
Okay, before we adjourn the meeting of today, shall we set up a new meeting date?
So we've got, let's see, 3 weeks out would put us at the 22nd of March, and 4 weeks out the 29th. So I don't see any conflicts on my schedule.
22nd looks good from my side.
Yeah.
22nd could be. Yeah. I don't know if I can make it until 10 o'clock local time here, but I think I will make it at 11 o'clock. That would be good. So if we can skip it to 11, that will be fine for me.
Okay, I can do 11 for that evening. I think it's good in 3 weeks' time, because then we will have a possibility again. Hold on, 22nd, and then we have the 29th, then we have the 5th, 12th. Yeah, possibly then we could also have a meeting before the UK tournament again on 12th of April if we're running on a 3 weeks basis.
Okay, well, we need to check with Olaf, I guess.
Yeah, we need to do that, but I propose the 22nd.
Okay, 22nd, an hour later than today's meeting. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I do believe Olaf tentatively said 3 weeks out would be fine, but obviously we do need to make sure the time works for him as well. But that sounds good. We'll put that in tentatively and put it out in the notes.
Good.
Hold on. Okay, then I formally close the meeting of today.
Okay, then I will stop the recording right now.